Hello, my name is Lindsay Bivens, and I am extremely excited to spend a bit of time with you today. I will be doing a talk this evening about resilience, but I wanted to first just show my face and let you know that I'm really excited to have an opportunity to chat with you. And thank you so much, Christina Riley Mead and the entire Nerdy Girl Success team. So we will jump into our presentation. And I hope you guys can see. So we are going to be chatting about resilience tonight. It's a topic that is just very near and dear to my heart because it's something that I've kind of walked through, as many of you have, and maybe I wouldn't have used the words resilience. So the title of this talk will be Cultivating Resilience. But I want to start off by telling you a little bit about me. So, my name is Lindsay Bivens. I am the publisher and senior editor of The Author's Pen, where I support people who write. I particularly work with business owners, pastors, community leaders, nonprofit organization leaders, and I support them with crafting a powerful story that will help move their mission forward. Excuse me. So those are the types of people who generally hire me. I am most known, kind of with respect to publishing. I'm most known and regarded highly for my coaching ability. So I have a very natural way of being able to draw out something great in other people, and that's particularly again with people who are business owners, leaders. I think I have kind of a straight shooter style that people appreciate, especially people in leadership. Maybe they don't have a lot of time for fluff and kind of a sweetly approach. They tend to appreciate my straight and direct way of kind of cutting to the chase. So that's what I do professionally. I also host an event called My Message Matters. It's an entrepreneurship conference that was birthed out of my own entrepreneurial experience. I have been in business for about 4 years. Again, I mentioned The Author's Pen, where I publish books. It's been a 4+ year, I'm just over my 4-year mark now. And it has been an interesting journey, to say the least. It has been very fulfilling. Number one, it's something that I have a heart to do, but it hasn't always been easy. The first maybe year and a half into doing business and launching my business, I realized I just did not know enough about business. It was a kind of uphill battle, and during those initial years, I realized, I just didn't know enough and I wanted to know more. And that's where I got the idea to host this conference for entrepreneurs, people like myself who are very gifted and talented. And we have, a heart to serve certain communities and populations, and a heart to be a solution to, your audience or to your clients. You want to be a solution. But figuring out all of the nuances and all of the particulars about business, I just didn't have it. I didn't know it. And so I launched the conference to provide a space where creative people like myself could come together, kind of flesh out what you're good at, and how do we take what we're great at and the solutions we can provide for other people. How do we create a business around it? How do we generate income? How do we serve people in exchange for revenue and create income for our families and communities? So that's what we did at My Message Matters. We launched that event in 2018. So this is our 3rd year. We've gone on tour. So we've been to other cities and states to welcome creative entrepreneurs in a room together, not only to learn, because we have a big focus on education, but it's also to connect and collaborate. I've been so blessed to bring people in the room who were open to not only learning from other people, but connecting and doing business together and partnering on projects together. So that has been a joy to my heart. I'm also separate from a publisher and an event producer. I am also a speaker. I do public speaking. I generally speak on topics from book publishing, of course. I speak on entrepreneurship. I have a ministry background, so I do some speaking on that. And of late, I have been very much called to kind of women's issues and things that are specific and unique to women and young girls. So I'm excited to share with you guys today a couple of fun facts as we move on with our presentation on resilience today. Fun facts about me: I am married. I have been married for 17 years. I have four beautiful children, two of which are teenagers. So have lots of experience in that department. So I also want to share just a couple of hobbies. I really, 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 really love being outdoors. Like I can just sit outside. I love to kind of walk barefoot in the backyard. Um, I really enjoy Jacob, baby, baby, screen share pausing, and like I really, really love being outdoors. I love being in the sun. I love being in the fresh air. I love kind of walking around barefoot on the beach, in the grass. I really enjoy being outside. I feel like I'm at home when I'm outside. I love to travel. I've been blessed to travel, quite a bit in my life. And I really enjoy reading. Hence the reason that I'm in the book publishing business. I get to read a lot, not just for interest and not just for entertainment, but I get to read for my work. So it's a really cool job to have because it's something I enjoy. So let's kind of tip over. Again, I just wanted to show you, give you a visual of kind of what I do. Again, what I'm most known for is book publishing. So here are a few book covers, books that I've released recently. Here's just a couple of them. To date, I've worked with maybe upwards of 100 authors, kind of on a one-on-one basis. Some of which I've done coaching or editing for, and I've also published. Uh, just about half of those are books that I've worked to produce. And I also, like I mentioned, host My Message Matters conference. And so really these images give you, you know, kind of an insight to what I'm putting my hands to and what I'm creating. If I'm not creating a beautiful book with a powerful message, I'm bringing people into a room where we can kind of share those powerful messages is the way I like to look at it. So that's what I do. And I am excited again to chat with you guys about resilience today. So let's kind of dive into what we will be talking about: cultivating resilience. Cultivating resilience. So we're going to talk through kind of what is resilience, right? We're going to talk through that. I will share a little bit of my personal story, and we will kind of drill down and get some more specifics around helping you to identify and develop resilience. We're going to walk through an acronym called Bounce Back, and we're going to dive into kind of different areas of your life to help you, again, identify and develop resilience. I will encourage you as we move through the presentation to kind of jot down some notes. My hope and my goal is to empower you, inspire you, but to also give you some tools and give you some strategies, some things that you can really take a look at and see how they fit in the scope of what you're already doing, and maybe identify some things you want to do better. So let's get right to it. So our initial kind of objective is to kind of define resilience. So resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's toughness. I like to think of resilience as kind of your inner oomph. I like to think of it that way because resilience is something that you really don't know you have until you have to have it. It's that oomph on the inside. It's that, you know, believing in yourself, knowing yourself. It is kind of standing tall and strong in moments where, maybe you could easily crumble. The average person would crumble, and I only say that I believe we all have resilience, but it's where you go from being kind of the version that you've always been, and then you're hit with something in life and you realize you're a lot stronger than you thought you were. So I like to think of resilience as the inner oomph. But Webster defines resilience again as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It is an inner toughness. It's the ability to bounce back. Think of a rubber band. As you saw on the initial slide, I used a rubber band kind of with the idea that you can be stretched, right? But you go back to your original dimensions or shape, right? That you can be stretched. So that's what I like to think about with respect to resilience. It's the inner umph. And so that's what we're going to talk about, how to identify our inner umph and develop it, right? So uh, as we walk through what is resilience and how to cultivate it, I really want to touch on kind of how is it expressed? How is resilience expressed? I'd like to think of, some of them. I won't talk through every one of them, but a few of them. So optimism is one, right? And this goes beyond the whole. I think positive thinking feels kind of cliche nowadays, even for you guys. There's a lot of talk around being positive, but that's on purpose, right? You can look at the glass half full or half empty. But when you think of optimism, it's resilience is expressed as optimism, right? Again, the inner umph. You can be hit with something difficult, right? I believe many of you may be kind of middle school, high school age. So think about something that could hit you, right? A difficulty, a challenge, maybe some rejection, right? So what about, trying out for, the basketball team or the volleyball team and you're not selected? Or what if you're on the team and coach won't put you in kind of thing, right? And you feel a little bit rejected. Or if you study really, really, really hard for a test and you don't get as high a mark on that test as you were expecting because you put a lot of effort in, right? But those are moments where you could easily be deflated or get discouraged. But resilience, again, when you think about having that inner strength and toughness, resilience is expressed as optimism, even in moments where you might feel a little sting from life, right? You might feel like you had a good punch, but you're looking on the bright side and you can say, okay, well, I studied, the entire week for this test and I barely passed, but I'm proud of myself for putting in the effort. I'm proud of myself um, for kind of developing good study habits, right? For getting better at that. And I'm looking forward to the next test because I know I'll do better next time, right? That's what optimism is. Again, resilience is expressed as maybe a self belief. So I really like this one because self belief is just believing in yourself, believing that you are amazing, believing that you are capable, believing that the brilliant things you have in mind to do with your life that they are possible, right? That's self belief. So resilience is expressed as just believing you can, even if the road might be difficult, right? Sometimes we don't even know how to anticipate what's going to be difficult, but believing that it's possible. Another one is, I think, ability to solve problems. So, again, I'm not going to touch on every one of the examples here, but I want to kind of move through it quickly so we can get to the meat of our talk tonight. But ability to solve problems. So, resilience is expressed as being, solution driven or solution oriented, right? People who are not resilient may be more susceptible to uh, dwell on the problem or dwell on what's wrong and be critical instead of looking for solutions, instead of taking that same energy and attention to focus on what they can do to help a situation instead of harboring over maybe what's not great about a situation. So these are just examples of how resilience is expressed. Resilience, again, this is inner toughness. It produces some things, right? You think about a tree, right? And a tree yields a certain fruit. So think of these things as the fruit, right, on the tree of resilience. So it will yield certain things. And again, I'm going to touch on just a couple of them. So inner drive, I really, really love that. With respect to, teenage girls, right, and young women, the idea that we can be inner directed, we can be driven by our own desires and dreams and hopes and beliefs, and that we don't have to wait for the rest of the world to tell us what we quote unquote should be doing, you know. Um, but we're driven by something deep within, you know. Another fruit on the tree of resilience would be flexible thinking. So that goes back to being solution oriented. Flexible thinking means that you're not so rigid and stuck with things, that you can explore other possibilities. You can explore other avenues. Again, if you're met with a closed door, right? I know some of you may be in high school and already starting to think about college, what college you want to go to and what you want to major in, and some of those things. You're already planning and thinking along those lines. So think about flexible thinking in terms of, okay, well, maybe you apply to 5 colleges or 10 colleges, right? Here's where flexibility comes in. Maybe you have your top 1 or 2, but you have to be flexible, and meaning you'll kind of spread yourself out in terms of sending out applications because you want to get into a certain type of college. And even if that top 1 or 2 doesn't come through, here's an opportunity for you to get picked up by other colleges where you can still major in the same thing, and continue your education. So I use that not necessarily to say that you should uh, kind of not shoot for the stars. So that's not my purpose, but flexible thinking, just meaning that you're not rigid and that you don't see that there's only one way to do a thing. So there's, many ways to skin a cat. And I think the most important thing is that you stay true to your vision and you stay true to the goals you set for yourself. And sometimes that takes a different path, but as long as you stay true to the vision, you will get there. And the last one I'll touch on in terms of a fruit on the tree of resilience is strong relationships. So I really like this one because strong relationships really lend to, is a beautiful thing that's birthed out of resilience, because it says that you're, again, flexible, you're future focused, you're not dwelling on the past, you're not dwelling on problems, right? I think resilient young women like yourself are generally positive. You're generally looking forward to good things to come. And those are all excellent qualities to have. So we're going to move forward again so that we stay within our allotted time. I want to share a few things with you. Here's a beautiful quote that I came across, and I thought it was very fitting. Truth be told, you will never really know just how strong and adamant you are unless an adversity strikes. Then you learn courage, you build resilience, you learn to persevere, you build character. That's by T. Whitmore. That quote it really captures my heart concerning resilience and the importance to cultivate it. So I hope you guys are taking notes. Again, we're about to get to the really great part of this presentation where you guys will have the ability to jot some things down. But before we move on to that section, I want to just pause here, look at the lovely, the beautiful former First Lady Michelle Obama. And here we just pose a question: why is resilience important anyway, right? Why is it important? And I decided to kind of highlight her for a moment here because it's top of mind. I recently watched Becoming, the Netflix special based on Michelle Obama's kind of life and journey and her book Becoming. And I was so inspired by it. So some of you may have seen it already. Your mother may have encouraged you to watch it, but I was very inspired about a particular part of her story, which was during high school when she had a dream of attending Princeton, um, and was discouraged by a guidance counselor. And in so many words, the guidance counselor said that she wasn't a right fit and that maybe she should look at something different, right? I was really encouraged by that. Again, that is where kind of resilience showed up. That was a part of her story, that she didn't allow what the guidance counselor said to her. She didn't allow their discouraging words to shift the vision she had for her life or change the idea of what she thought, made sense for her future. And so that's where that inner umph comes in. Like, okay, well, I heard what you said, but I want to go to Princeton. That's where I know, right? Knowing yourself, believing in yourself comes in. That inner belief, that self belief, and that inner strength shows up in moments where maybe other people might discourage you. So I thought it meaningful to point it out here. And similar to her story about Princeton, why is resilience important? Because you are important. Your dreams, your goals, your vision is important. You have brilliant ideas. You have a brilliant sense of where you're going in the world. Even if you can't quite put that in words yet, there's something exciting on the inside of you still waiting to be realized. So that's why it's important that you use resilience and you adopt a resilient attitude about life and you continue to cultivate it. So I am, again, I am a mother of 4 children. I have my own teenage children and I'm still cultivating resilience. So I will share a little bit of a personal story with you quickly. And this is kind of my own resilience story. Around the age of 15, my mother got in a really, really bad car accident. It was a weeknight, and I was on the high school track team. And my mother couldn't attend the track team or the track meet, but she was scheduled to pick me up afterwards. And so I sat and waited and watched all the other kids get picked up by their parents, and my mother never showed. And so now the coaches are getting ready to leave, and I'm sitting on the sidewalk near the parking lot, waiting, growing more and more frustrated because my mother hadn't appeared and she hadn't shown up. And my coach took me home. And after arriving home and my mother wasn't home, I was, in a sense, I was a little angry with her. And as soon as I kind of walked in, here runs in my neighbor, the next door neighbor, frantic, Lindsay, your mother's been in a really bad accident and she's at the hospital in surgery. And all of a sudden, I was frozen. I was frozen. I was numb. I really didn't know what to feel. In the months that followed, my mother was, I learned, of course, that my mother had um, been in a head on collision where from her waist down was crushed and she had to have reconstructive surgery. And they doubted if she would ever walk again. And not only was she very ill, she was in the hospital for a very long time and transitioned to an in facility um, nursing facility, excuse me, where she didn't come home for months, maybe 4 to 6 months. I can't quite recall exactly how long, but it felt like forever. During that time, my mother couldn't provide for me either. She couldn't work. She didn't have any income. And, I was being raised in the house with my mom, me and her. And it was a very difficult time. During that space of time, I felt a sense of responsibility to do something. Again, I'm a high school kid. I'm in the 10th grade on the track team. And all of a sudden, life happens to someone close to me. So the accident happened to my mother. But, she was hurt, but I was indirectly impacted by something that, could have taken her life. Again, in the months to come, wanting to do something, feeling a sense of responsibility to help. I was 15 years old and I was like, okay, I'm going to get a summer job so that I can help out. And I went to my guidance counselor and got a slip of paper because during at that time you could work at 15 for a summer job. You just needed the guidance counselor to sign off to say that you're mature enough, et cetera, et cetera. So I went through all of those steps. And here I come. I march up to every fast food restaurant in my near, my home at the time in walking distance, and nobody would hire me. So I got a no after a no after a no after a no. And then finally, the last restaurant I stopped to was a Hardee's restaurant near my home. And the gentleman said, I really want to give you a job, but, we don't hire kids under 16. So when you turn 16, come back and see. So after so much rejection, I felt extremely defeated. I walked home that day, tail between my legs, sobbing, crying, because I knew what home life was like for us at the time. My mother was absent. She was sick. I didn't have, we didn't have a lot of things, and I wanted so badly to do something to help. So because we, thanks to family and friends, we were able to make it through that stretch of time, through that summer, and to make our way back to my 16th birthday, right? So this is again just sharing something about resilience. So my 16th birthday rolls back around. My mom finally made it back home, but she's not able to work and really doesn't have any income. But I marched right back up to that same restaurant who promised me that when I turned 16, they would give me a job. I get there and I rehearsed the story they told me the year prior, and they gave me a job that day. I share this story because through that experience, I realized that the inner umph, that inner strength is often something you don't even know you have until it is called upon. Sometimes you don't know how strong you are until strong is the only thing you can be. So that is my personal story. Here's a quick reminder: be strong when strength is your only option. It doesn't matter what you're facing. Again, it could be, being rejected by a group of girls at your school, you know, it could be feeling bullied at times. It could be struggling in a certain subject, or maybe not really having great rapport with one of your teachers. That could be a difficult situation to be in, but I encourage you to be strong when strength is your only option. Now, let's go through a couple of things you can jot down here. This is where we will share some tips and things to help you guys move forward. Acknowledge and develop. And to explore this, we're going to talk about learning to bounce back. And here's an acronym. So B, bad times don't last, and things always get better. O, other people can only help if you share with them. So we can't assume people automatically know what we mean without expressing how we feel and what we need. So I encourage you to identify people, a trust, maybe in a business, maybe you have a board of trustees, but in life, you should have a board of people you trust, right? A list of names or people, even if the list is mental, kind of jot down at least 5 people you absolutely can trust if you ran into some difficulty. So parents, maybe grandparents, maybe your favorite aunt, maybe 1 or 2 really good girlfriends that are responsible. People you can trust, a guidance counselor, your favorite teacher, someone that you maintain a relationship with even after you grow out of their class, right? So think about that. Or a mentor, maybe a trusted mentor. So make a quick list of people you can share, a difficulty with if you find yourself facing difficulty. You need someone to confide in. You need someone to get really wise counsel from. You, again, this is learning to bounce back. You is unhelpful thinking makes you feel worse. Unhelpful, unhealthy, just negative Nancy kind of thinking, right? that kind of thinking will only make you feel worse. It is not productive. It won't help you focus in on solution. It won't help you focus in on how you move forward after a difficulty. So be mindful of how you think, right? Be mindful of the your habit of thinking when you're faced with a difficulty, because the goal is to feel better, not worse. So nobody is perfect, not you, not your friend Susie, not your other friend on the other side, your bestie here, your bestie there, your old best friend, your new best friend, right? Your family, your parents. Nobody is perfect, so don't expect yourself to be perfect either, right? Nobody's perfect. See, concentrate on the good things in life, no matter how small. So, again, I mentioned to you, even at my age, I'm still cultivating resilience and cultivating gratitude. I'm still actively working on being grateful because things happen. Again, you can work really hard on something and it falls short, and you get to choose. Am I going to be Am I going to feel like a failure, or am I going to choose to be grateful, to acknowledge that I put in the effort to do something, and I'm proud of myself for putting forth the effort, right? That's finding ways to be grateful and cultivating gratitude. Everybody suffers, right? Everybody feels pain. Everybody has shortcomings and setbacks, and that's a normal part of life. It's not isolated. So there will be times that you feel pain and you feel like you've experienced a setback, right? But that is normal. Don't feel like you're being kind of isolated, or it's you're being targeted, right, to have a bad day or a bad experience. Other people are also having bad experiences. So it's not about the bad experience, it's what you learn from it and how you move forward. B, blame fairly. So blame fairly. I really like this one because a lot of times we can experience, what we would describe as negative events. But you got to realize, maybe it's something you did, something other people did, maybe it's circumstances, maybe it's a misunderstanding. Don't get caught up in becoming, a blamer, right? Where all you do is blame everybody for everything. So it doesn't mean that you don't take personal accountability when that is right to do, but the encouragement here is to be fair, right? Be fair. A resilient young lady would be fair in how she looks at things, right? Accept what you can't change and try to change what you can. So this is again, it agrees or aligns with the definition for resilience and some of those the the attributes of resilience, right? That we focus on what we can change, what we can do. If we can find a solution for a problem, we work on that. We won't focus on the problem. Catastrophizing. So this is just making things worse, right? Another way to say it is drama. So I know many of you young ladies have seen, experienced all of that. You're familiar with drama. Here, the word of choice is catastrophizing to, kind of go along with our acronym. But drama, don't blow it up, enlarge it, magnify it more than it really has to be. Don't fall into that mode of thinking where you just believe the worst in everybody, For example, if you go out for a they have organizations at the school, or groups, organized groups at the school, and you want to be on a certain committee, and maybe you go out for the committee and you're not selected. So the girl who was selected, her mom is best friends with the committee chair. So now you go through this whole thought process that, well, they were already planning to choose her and it was unfair, right? That's thinking the worst. That's the worst interpretation, and that really doesn't help you to feel good about yourself. Instead, it helps you to feel like a victim. It helps you to feel like you've been unfairly treated. And feeling like you've been unfairly treated doesn't help you in the process of moving forward. Sometimes that'll keep you stuck, and it will keep you in a negative headspace. It will keep you in a place where maybe you won't try next time because you have this belief in the worst possible interpretation of things. So be careful with that. K, our last one, is keep things in perspective. Even the worst moments are just a moment. A moment is a moment, and then after that moment is a new moment. So I think that helps us to kind of stay lighthearted, right? Laugh at yourself when you can and try not to take things so seriously. That's going to help you bounce back. That's going to help you be resilient, and it will help you to continue to cultivate your resilience as you grow older and as you start achieving some of the things you set out to achieve in your life. Here, really quick, again, great place to jot down some notes. Ask yourself the tough questions. When I think of, years ago, teenage years, high school years, I wish I would have asked myself some tough questions early on. I think I would be in a better place in terms of where I am in my career and life. I feel like I've made tremendous progress and I've achieved many things. But I think, again, honestly, I think I was afraid to ask myself some of those tough questions. But here's your opportunity to do it. Ask yourself, am I resilient? Based on the definition we just shared, right? Based on what we've already mentioned, are you resilient? Do you have the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties? Do you have an inner toughness? Do you have that inner oomph? Can you think about situations in your life where things may have been a little bit difficult? And how did you respond, right? What does resilience look like in all areas of your life? So ask yourself that question. What does it look like to you? And you want to pause and take some notes. And I'm going to run through the next few slides a little quickly. These are kind of our final slides. Resilience at home. So I feel comfortable talking to my parents. I complete my chores without having to be told, meaning you're proactive. And you enjoy activity. And when somebody gives you feedback, you try to do better and you don't take it personally. You don't feel like feedback is an attack, right? Resilience at school, setting goals for yourself at school. What do you want your grades to look like at the end of the school year? Do you have a goal for your GPA? Do you have a goal for what college you want to attend and what major you want to take up? Do you have a goal of starting a business? Do you want to be an entrepreneur someday? And if so, what kind of business do you want to be in? And positive relationships with your teachers and counselor. That is an excellent, excellent way to kind of gauge where you are in terms of resilience at school. Another, resilience with friends. So I really like this one because, again, it's a good depiction of if you're flexible and open. So I am friendly and I make friends easily. I am the girl who talks to the new kid, right? Are you open to meeting new people? Are you intentional about setting a good example for your friends, for your group, of associates in school, maybe not just at school, home, within your family? Are you intentional about setting good example? Do you have your own mind? That's self-belief when you can think for yourself. That's a great, healthy way to be resilient while with friends. Resilience in social settings. Here's a great one. So I'll just touch on maybe two of these. I am responsible for my actions and behaviors, right? Not that you're going to blame everybody for everything, right? But kind of having some personal accountability and you're responsible for yourself and that you are a leader and not a follower. Resilience, I hear me, myself, and I really like this one as well because this is about how you see yourself and show up for yourself. So I'm confident. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I'm still awesome sauce, right? You know that you're still amazing, even if you have weaknesses, because guess what everybody does? Remember the previous slide? Nobody's perfect. Yeah, nobody's perfect. It's okay. You're not supposed to be strong in every area, so to speak. You're human, but you can still be confident knowing that you are amazing, even with your set of strengths and weaknesses. I take time to think about my feelings and express them, right? Do you take time to think about how you feel about school, about home life, about your friendships, about your future, right? Are you taking time to just sit and think about those things? Resilience, red flags. So we have to talk about every one of these really quick. So red flags, I yell at others when I'm frustrated or angry. Red flag. I give up easily when things get hard and when they get tough and when I feel like rubber is meeting the road and when I have to keep trying over and over again. Remember the story I shared with you, my personal story about how my mom got in that car accident and got really, really hurt, and my family was experiencing a really difficult time, and I was 15 years old. And I was turned, and when I wanted to help, everybody turned me away and rejected me. Nobody gave me a job. But I had a promise, that was about 9 months later, and I felt like I needed a job that day. But I showed up when I turned 16. That is what resilience looks like. Even if you feel a little bit disappointed, even if you have to cry, even if you have to go back to the drawing board or change or wait, don't give up, right? But giving up easily, if that's something that you have struggled with in the past or you're struggling with right now, if you give up easily when things get hard, that is a red flag. The next one, I blame others and struggle with taking personal accountability, right? Again, this is about cultivating resilience. Blaming other people and struggling to see your part in things, that is a red flag. And the last, I don't accept help from others easily. So this is one that's a little bit interesting because there you can be kind of just self-directed. You can be a little independent, and that may not be a negative thing. But if you find that you need help and you won't accept help, that is a red flag. So again, I listed these to give you not only the positive aspects of resilience, but to share with you some things to be mindful about if you find yourself um, exhibiting any of these items from a red flag perspective, that you pause. This is a good place to pause if you find yourself snapping at other people and getting frustrated and angry easily, if you give up easy, if you can't accept help easy, right? These are things um, that you should pause and take a look at. And I would even encourage you to talk to one of those trusted individuals on your board, right? Instead of a board of directors in business, a board of directors in your life, to have an honest conversation and say, hey, I might need some help in this area because I'm actively working on cultivating resilience. I sure do hope that you guys have enjoyed our presentation today. But before I go, I want to remind you to give yourself credit. Pat yourself on the back for the things you're doing well. Be proud of how hard you are working right now. Be proud that you showed up to this, the Nerdy Girls Success organization, that you're a member of this wonderful organization, and that you've taken the time to take workshops and continue to learn and grow. And as I mentioned, resilience is something that's near and dear in my heart. It's something that I am actively cultivating even today. So it's a lifelong journey. Keep cultivating resilience.